Recently, I was asked by one of my members how no longer being a Christian has affected my holiday traditions. So let's take a minute and talk about that. Hi, I'm Veronica, and welcome to the Wholeness Shift. If this is your first time here, welcome. And if you're already part of the family, welcome back. You know I love you. And I talk about easy, practical spirituality, intentional living. I help you figure out how to navigate your spiritual awakening. And there's no topic off limits here. We talk about everything. And I feel like you're so far away from me. I just want to bring you in. And I can't get you any closer. Just know that you're close in my heart. Anyways, if you're interested in all things spirituality, all things aliens and dreams and crystals and pendulums and spirit guides and all the things, hit the subscribe button below. I wouldn't want you to miss out on anything good. And before I get started, just a reminder that you still have a little bit of time to squeak in there and enter the giveaway that I mentioned in last week's video if you're interested. I'm not going to go into the details. You can go find that last video and see the details for yourself. So, deconstruction and the holidays. How have things changed? Now that I'm deconstructing my religion, I've had this spiritual awakening, I've left the church and no longer consider myself a Christian. How has that changed things? I thought that this was really valuable to talk about because I know that this is a topic that a lot of us are dealing with. And some people just skate right away from it and never look back, and it doesn't bother them a bit. And then I know that there are other people like myself who have just a little bit more of a tricky time with it. So I thought it would have a lot of value to talk about. A few things to know about me that might help you understand why this is just a little bit trickier for me to walk away from is, number one, I am someone who is extremely sentimental about things. Keepsakes, mementos, memories, those things matter to me a lot. Number two, I'm someone who tends to be like extremely loyal, first of all, and deeply honor bound. Like honor and responsibility and a sense of duty is really what has driven my life since day one. It's just ingrained in me. And then number three, traditions are so important to me. I always joke that I'm like Reptevia from The Fiddler on the Roof, where he's just like, tradition! Like, that's me. That is me. He is my spirit animal. Ooh, it's 11:11. Phones going off all over the place. People messaging. So, if you're watching this, 11:11 to you. Anyways, so tradition is very important to me, probably more so than it should be, but yet here we are. I mean, some of this is because it's just who I am. I'm a Capricorn and a Taurus rising. I mean, say no more. I'm loyal and I'm full of tradition. And some of it is because I was raised to be so deeply enmeshed in the church and in tradition, and it's kind of become a part of me. It was already a part of me, and then I had an extra heaping dose of it added on by being raised in the church. I'm already getting emotional just talking about this. So if I get emotional, bear with me. It's a deep topic. So as far as tradition goes, for me to walk away or turn my back on a strongly held tradition, it's hard for me, and I grieve the loss of those things. I certainly don't grieve the loss of the toxic church and the toxic patriarchal domination it had over my life. Just, yeah, whole other video, but I certainly don't mourn the loss of those things. But as far as like the sweet traditions that meant something to me, that's been really bittersweet, leaving and starting this new path, and then releasing some of the things. Sorry. Releasing some of those things that held such a tender spot in my heart. It's tricky for me. It's been hard. So ever since my member Marie asked me about that, you know, when she asked me, I didn't dive too deeply into it. I just kind of responded, you know, nothing really has changed. I mean, I certainly don't celebrate it as the birth of the Lord and Savior anymore, but like really nothing else has changed. And I meant that in the moment, but then it stuck to me. That question just wouldn't go away. It kept nagging at me. And I was sitting here like looking at my beautiful Christmas tree, and always the thought in the back of my head, like, well, what does that even mean to me anymore? Or like certain Christmas carols, Silent Night comes on, or Oh Holy Night. And Oh Holy Night is my favorite Christmas carol of all time. I mean, I weep when that thing comes on. To me, Oh Holy Night was always like sacred ground. It was hallowed ground for me. It just held a lot of meaning. And so now when it comes on, I still love it. I still weep, but I don't know why. Because if I'm on this new path that I fully believe in, and I do, why does it still affect me so much? Why does it still hold so much emotion for me? Why do I have such a melancholy sadness when I think about those things? So anyways, after I answered her question, it just kind of stuck with me. And it kept nagging away at me to dive deeper into this. You know, what does all this stuff mean now? Why do I feel such a draw to it? I did not think this video was going to be so hard for me to get through. I'm really grateful I didn't do my makeup beforehand because it would have been ruined. Anyways, I kept turning over in my mind, why does this still have such an emotional pull for me? Why is this still so melancholy for me to think about? Why am I grieving the loss of it? If it no longer means anything to me, why am I grieving it so hard? And if I no longer believe in the church and that Jesus is the one and only Son of God who came to save us from our sins, and if we don't believe on him, we're going to burn in hell. I don't believe any of that. So why do I still consider Christmas? Why am I mourning the loss of what I feel is the holiness, the importance and the holiness and the sacredness of it all, right? Now that I no longer believe in that stuff, I mean, is a tree just a tree? Is a nativity scene just a nativity scene? It's just a decoration. Is Oh Holy Night, I mean, is a song just a song now? Why am I having such a hard time reconciling this? So ask and you shall receive, because I was asking for help figuring this out. And if you don't know, I know her from TikTok mainly, but now I follow her on YouTube too. But if you don't know Rev Carla, this woman has my heart. I just love her. I adore her. And I have followed her on TikTok for years now, a couple years easy. And then I realized she had a YouTube channel too. So I will link to her. But she is a big one to teach on the deconstruction of the church. Well, I happened to come across a short that she made. Now listen, I'm a person, you either love them or you hate them. And what's ironic is I love TikTok, but on YouTube, I can't stand a short. If I see someone's short come down my timeline, I will refuse to watch it. It's so stupid, especially being a creator myself and knowing the importance of them in the algorithm right now. Like, I make them sometimes when I feel guilted and like, I'm really supposed to be making these. I'll make some, but like, I can't stand a short. I'm on YouTube to watch long form content. I don't want to watch your shorts. They just clog up my timeline. Anyways, whole other soapbox. However, I saw a short by Rev Carla, and it said something, I don't even remember the name of it. I should have paid closer attention, but in the moment I didn't. But it had some kind of reference to Christmas and deconstruction, or yeah, something like that. Anyways, so I watched it, and it was just a little snippet from her talking about this topic. And when I watched it, she was talking about the very subject that I had been mulling over in my mind. She was talking about the topics of deconstruction and holiness, and how holiness is still accessible to all of us. It was enough to spark this aha moment inside of me. And so I wanted to pick up the torch that Rev Carla had laid down and expand on it. It's like her video seemed to perfectly mesh together with what I had been mulling over in my mind and the questions I had been seeking. And it was like that's it. That was the answer. There are a lot of things that I want to say and have to say on this topic of deconstructing the church and giving yourself permission to still let the holidays mean something to you. So I'm going to try to break them down into several easy chunks, if you will. Number one, I still believe in Jesus. I may not believe, as I said earlier, that he is the one and only Son of God who is solely responsible for your salvation. And if you don't choose to accept him as your sole Lord and Savior, there's no hope for you. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. I discard that as fiction. However, Jesus, the man, Jesus, the ascended master, Jesus, I still believe in him. I do still believe that that beautiful man was born like one of the first star seeds coming here to try to teach humanity that there's a better way, that it's all inside of you, and your connection to the divine is already there inside of you. All you have to do is go in there, do like he does, and go in there and look for it. And that you don't have to pay attention to the church, and that the church is toxic, and that there's a better way, and that we should be loving one another. We should have tolerance. We should have forgiveness in our hearts. We should be making sure to take care of one another. He came to teach us those things. And those are beautiful, important things that we should still be focusing on today. They have nothing to do with the church. Therefore, I still believe in Jesus. And I still consider myself somewhat of a follower of the ascended master Jesus, as far as wanting to embody those teachings that he had, wanting to embody that Christ consciousness, wanting to do better for this world. So I'm still a lover and a follower of his teachings, and so I'm okay with celebrating his birth, even if celebrating his birth doesn't mean the same to me as it would to a Christian, if that makes sense. Number two, the church loves to gatekeep words and concepts such as holiness, sacred, sanctified. They love to claim those words as their own and think that they own them because they think they're God's favorite. But they don't own those. Those words belong to all of us. So in my life, and maybe in yours, even though I'm not a religious person anymore, I'm definitely a spiritual person, but I have nothing to do with religion. I have nothing to do with Christianity. Christmas and the holiday season still represents a time of holiness for me. It's a time of holiness where we focus on the love and the generosity happening in the world. It's when we focus on the closing out of a cycle, the closing out of a year and a chapter in our lives, and the focusing on the birth of a brand new season, a brand new gift of a fresh year. We may turn our hearts toward the cherishing of the people in our lives, or we may take time to reflect and mourn the losses of people that we love dearly that are no longer here. Or we may celebrate the sparkliness of the season and the joy of it all with our friends and family. It really is what you make of it. It's all things that are good if you choose to see it, and it's holy ground that belongs to all of us, that belongs to humanity. And it's a time for humanity to come together and reclaim all of this. Why is it a time of holiness? Why is it a sacred ground? Well, because people are more generous with their time and their money and their love and their goodwill. People are way more likely to be forgiving around the holidays or to show grace. Whether you're aware of it or not, the holiday season is full of divine, heart-centered energy. At least most of it. Like, here's the level of love and goodwill normally, and during the holiday season, it's like boop, boop, boop. And that beautiful heart-centered energy, those good high vibes, can't be gatekept by a religion or by a church. That belongs to all of us. Number 3, let's dive a little bit deeper in and talk about these words. Sanctified, holy, sacred. I'm going to read these definitions so that I don't mess them up. To be sanctified means to be set aside and designated as something holy. Holy means to be dedicated to God or to a sacred purpose. And sacred means to be connected to God. If you've begun to awaken spiritually, then you've probably been awakening to the truth that we are all connected. The fact that we are all connected to one another is a universal truth. There is a divine creator, a lover and creator of all things that are, and we are all a piece, a part of that creator. We are all little extensions and pieces of that divinity and that divine creator. And because of this, we are all part of each other. We are all connected. And we have this common divine thread that runs through each of us, just like DNA, just like the blood in our veins if we shared a parent. It is part of our DNA. It is a part of the fabric of our very being that we share a part of this divinity, of this sacredness, of this holiness that is the divine. This creator force has so many names, and you don't have to choose one that anyone else chose. You can pick one for yourself, but some common names that you might know are the divine, the creator of all that is, force, Allah, Abbe, God. So when I refer to God, I'm referring to all of that. I'm referring to that divine creator force. I use the divine and God kind of interchangeably because to me it's the same thing. And if, as per the definitions that I just read, those words sanctified and holy and sacred are all attributed to God and for things that are connected to God and to the divine, and we are all connected to God and to the divine. What does that tell you? That means that those words and concepts of holiness and sacred and sanctified, those are our words. They aren't just words that belong to a church. They may mean different things to the church, but they are our words. They are our concepts. And I'm so grateful to Rev Carla for pointing that out, because it truly was the missing piece. It was the missing light bulb moment that just made all of the swirling emotions and thoughts that I've had over the years just kind of gel. That's it. That's it. That's why I still feel this holiness around this season, and why I do still have a sense of holiness and sacredness. Because I gave up the church, but I did not give that up. That's mine. And it's yours if you want it. Yeah, I didn't give that up. It's mine. It's something that I hold deeply within me. They are inherently ours, humanity's, to use and experience. When I heard her talking about all this, something in me definitely healed. The thought that although I had left the church and I no longer claim the religion, the holiness and sacredness was still mine to keep and cherish. Like, it all makes sense now. And yes, I'm keeping those, they're mine. And last but not least, number 4, just to kind of recap everything, specifically the holiday season is a time of year that is sanctified or set apart for a sense of love and holiness and sacredness. It's a time that we observe the holy. We observe a greater sense of love and responsibility for one another, a greater sense of love and grace, a greater sense of generosity. We should be those things all the time, but during the holiday season, it is specifically sanctified and set apart to observe the holiness of those things and to dive deeper into them. It's a time for opening your heart to alignment with the divine and to the flow of all things good and right and things that serve the greater good of all that is. The beauty of it is that you get to decide what that means for you. You get to decide what that looks like for you. You get to decide what traditions you keep, or if you throw them all out, and you get to decide what traditions you make for yourself. The thing is to have these traditions that you hold pure and holy and sacred to your heart and to your truth, that are in alignment for you and keep you in that divine flow of all things love and pure and good for the betterment of all that is. You create the definition of all of this, and you create what that looks like in your life. Claim that for yourself. Don't let the church take that away from you. Don't let religion steal that very special part of humanity from you. That is yours. Claim it. Part of deconstructing the church and deconstructing religion is deconstructing some of these long-lived notions and rules that certain words and concepts are stitched together with the church. Simply because we have allowed them to get away with claiming those things for themselves does not mean it needs to continue that way. Snipping the stitches of all of those things that were knit together with the church and removing the church from them and reclaiming them as our own is imperative to the healing of humanity. When you've been operating from a space of open-heartedness, and you are truly in alignment with the divine and with what's right for you and your life, and you're operating from this space of what would be the best for all? How can humanity best be served? How can I show people love today? That is holiness. That is holiness. That's sacred. That's divinity. That is holy ground. That divine space of love and connection that you're acting from and moving in, that space that you're moving within, that is sanctified. And you are in alignment with the heart of the divine. And that, to me, is what the holiday season is all about. And that has nothing to do with religion. That is not specific to religion. That is specific to holiness. I hope this helped you. I hope this answered some questions. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll talk to you soon.